Welcome everyone to our session. This is Totara Learn 12, or First Look, what's new in the latest release of Totara Learn. I'm Wesley Holden. I'm the community manager here at Totara Learning, and I'm super stoked to get to take you through your first look at version 12 that just came out last week. Quick housekeeping, the session will be recorded and posted publicly afterwards. We typically post it up on YouTube and make it public. Discussions and Q&A will continue on the Totara.community site. If you don't already have an account, please come set one up. If you are a subscriber or a partner company, you're able to get access to additional information as well as tools and release notes and things like that, which we'll talk about at the end. But please feel free to come and join us so that you can ask questions and hear best practices and things like that from other Totara users. But for today, we're going to dive into features. So this is just sort of a quick list of the areas we're going to cover. A lot of the Totara Learn 12 I don't want to say customizations. A lot of the changes are things to do with the UX, the look and feel of the software, the way it's laid out, the things you can do around where things go in terms of content and blocks and things like that. We've redesigned the course catalog. We've redesigned the site administration menu. We have a new content marketplace to give you more access or easier access to additional resources and courses. So a lot of really cool stuff that's come through in this release. So just getting started, we have blocks, which are those pieces of functionality that allow you to add new functions to a page. So we have block areas, used to be just on the left and right hand columns pretty much of the software. So that would be dashboards, that would be course pages and the front page. We have now added the ability to have blocks at the top and bottom of the page as well. So this block happens to have sort of 4 segments to it. It's called the featured links block, and it allows you to add as many tiles to it as you want to. I've also seen folks that are doing one big block across the top to do like header images and things like that. So you now have that ability to add those blocks to more regions of the page than you could before. All block types are going to be able to be added to those areas, including featured links and HTML blocks, so that you can basically create a more graphical-based navigation without having to do the customization to the system that you used to have to do for that to get those sorts of pieces. With the blocks themselves, we've redesigned them a bit as well. So you now have the ability to remove the header. You can remove the block border as well as icons from the blocks. They used to sort of have all those things by default. So we've essentially made the block design itself more flexible. So let me get into just a quick block configuration setting so you can see sort of what you can configure now with it. Turning off that header, turning off that border if you want to. So here's a couple of examples. Here's the one with no border. Here's one with the header, but the other one doesn't. So kind of gives you a little look and feel idea. So it's design options to give you more flexibility around the design of your site. We have also improved the footer of the site. So up top here, we can see what the footer looks like on the Totara Learn 11. Down below, this is Totara Learn version 12. We had feedback from a lot of partner companies that their subscribers were just not interested in having these additional menu items and things like that. They weren't being used. And so we've gotten rid of them, pulled them out. If you have those on your site and you do use them, you don't have to have them taken out. Your partner company, or if you are a subscriber and you manage your own customizations, you'll be able to have those sorts of things in your footer if you choose to, but now it's a choice rather than having them in there by default. So takes up less screen, that way more real estate can be spent on content and things like that. Just a couple of odds and ends that I didn't really have a good way to have a slide of. The main menu, so that navigation bar across the top of the page, is no longer turned on by default on sites. Oftentimes what was happening was partner companies had already developed their own menuing system, and so one of the steps they were having to take was to go turn that main menu off every single time they set up a new site. So now it's off by default and you can flip it on if you choose to. We've also made some changes so that when you are in a course, the navigation block that shows up on the left-hand side by default no longer has that My Courses section that just like kept unfurling and unfurling and unfurling, and it was really hard to find stuff in. We've removed that section from the block and created a new block called Course Navigation. So when you're in a particular course, you can have that block that is giving you additional ways, additional routes to get to the same content and things like that that you wanted to have access to through the course page. So there's that top navigation area that I'm talking about. We've made some changes there too. Like a lot of the feedback we've been receiving was really around making more space for content. It started with things like being able to dock blocks, because back in a few years ago, you couldn't even dock blocks and get them out of the way. And so we keep sort of expanding your ability to have control of more content area to present things, because we're getting away from a lot of things like text-based lists, text-based course lists and things like that, and getting more into graphical, look and feel, navigation through tiles and things like that. So some of the ways we've helped with that is honestly just fully reducing that top navigation area. We've moved the logo so that it now shows up in the navigation bar instead of it used to be sort of floating down in the white section. So that's up in that part now. And then tools like messages and alerts have also been moved into that top navigation bar as well. You'll also see what this settings icon is going to get you to here in a couple of minutes. We've also reduced the list so that when a user needs to get into things, they're able to just go and click next to their name and they're able to get into the language list. If you have the language menu exposed, they can also get into their own user settings there. So we kind of moved as much as we could into that top navigation bar to, again, give more space for the rest of the experience. One thing that has changed with that main navigation, that top navigation area, is that you can now go 3 levels deep with your menu items. You used to only be able to have 2, so you'd have like events, seminars, webinars, and that was it. Now there is a 3rd level, so a subheading available for menu items there. So as you're building out this navigation, you can start with our default items, and then you can start adding your own and adding your own sub-items as well. And a question that came up in the last couple of sessions, so I'm just going to go for it. The Totara Learn logo that's here by default can be replaced. You still have flexibility to go and change your theme. If you have a fully customized theme that you're using CSS for, that's awesome. You're still going to be able to use your own theme and everything. If you're a site that is just using sort of the default theme and then making some modifications to it, you still have the ability to do those mods. So if, for example, you do have a logo, your logo will be automatically sort of shrunk to fit into this navigation bar as well. Just know that your stuff's not going to disappear. It's still going to be there. If you are using the front page of the site, which sounds kind of silly because it's a front page, so of course somebody has to go through it, right? Well, not necessarily. The front page of the site may not be displayed on your site necessarily. Sometimes people are taken directly to a login, or sometimes you're going through some other portal software that then launches Totara Learn. So this may or may not apply to you specifically. But if you are using the front page of the software out of the box, you know that you have the ability to add things like course lists and site announcements and things like that. But you didn't really have a lot of control over the way they displayed. It just sort of like showed up in the order that was pre-selected within the software. Well, what we've done is we've gone through and turned this into another block-based page. So not only can you have those left and right-hand column blocks, you can now have blocks down through the middle of the page. So you can move things around. Like if you want your announcements at the top of the page, you can do that. You couldn't do that before. And you can choose which of these pieces you want to turn on and off and move around. We've also changed the way that these sort of lists or blocks work. Just to, we now have one that's just the list of available courses. You still have a courses and categories combo list if you want to show that collection in that way, but it's just a couple of different ways to show things. We've also added a new course search block. So when you add this block, people can go in and just enter details like a name, maybe details that might be in the course summary or something like that, so that they can search much more easily for things from your front page. Here's a real biggie. I have like 2 favorite features in this version. Everything's very cool, but one of my favorites is the new site administration menu. The previous site administration menu, remember, was that panel down the left-hand side of the software that, within a block, and it was just sort of like a long list of all of the things that a site administrator could do that would be reduced if you didn't have full site admin permissions, if you're just a site manager or something like that. Well, the new site administration menu, not only has it been redesigned, it is also configurable. So remember earlier I mentioned we come back to this gear icon that's in the top navigation bar of the software. This is where you get to your site administration tools now, and I'll show you a live example here in a minute. You can search for different things if you need to. If you can't remember the name of a feature, or if you can't remember what, where a setting is, that's fine. You can use the search tool for that still. But then you have these categorized lists of menu items that you can get into. And notice these ones are sort of categorized by topic. So we've got core platform things, we've got things relating to learning, things relating to configuration. Well, if I click on menu settings here, then I have the ability to go in and configure my own menu. So I get to decide for myself what my categories are going to be, or groups of menu items, what individual menu items I want to see. And as you're going through and selecting options, the options list is essentially all of the things that were in that old admin panel. So you now have the ability to come through, and I've seen people do topic-based ones like this, like all of the learning pieces, all of the user management pieces, etc. You can also do workflows, like if you have daily items that you're coming in to do, you could have like a daily section, and all of the menu items you're hitting daily. You get to decide, or you can build out workflows. If you have a new user, you can have a workflow of new user in here as a category, and then the specific things of creating the user account, maybe setting up different pieces like adding them to audiences and going through those different pieces. So you get to decide for yourself what that site administration menu is going to look like. And it's automatically going to be filtering to only show you the things that within your role you should have. But I'm quite pleased with it. You used to have the ability to, and you still do, you used to have the ability to have like a block where you had sort of bookmarked administrative items, but now the site administration menu just is that. Let's see if there are any other pieces. I think those are all the pieces I wanted to say on that so far. I'm going to actually show it to you, though. We're going to take a quick walk through the software after we get through the slides. Another thing that has changed is featured links. So we brought out the featured links block, and we were pretty excited about like the cool things it can do. And we, in the last, both this and the previous release, the first release that came out was a couple versions ago, we keep adding features to it, and it keeps getting like newer and cooler. I'm really excited about the things we've been able to do with it, like for the Academy site, Academy/community, in terms of being able to display courses using tiles and things like that. So now you have the ability with the featured links block to have galleries. They can automatically, so you can have one block with one tile that's sort of rotating through different things like featured courses, upcoming webinars that you want to advertise, links to other portals or help documentation, or other events or things that you want your people to come and take a look at, other courses you might want them to sign up for. So you get to decide, again, the tiles that will show up in the featured links block, how they are going to be displayed. If you want a gallery where it's like sort of rotating through things, you can decide how it rotates through, if it's auto-playing, if it's repeating, etc. So it's a really great new option for delivering content and not taking up a ton of real estate, but being able to get a lot out of the box. So we had done so much cool stuff with the featured links block, and I feel like the catalog sort of inherited a lot of those ideas. So this is the new course catalog. Remember, your old course catalog is essentially a text-based list. You could have filters down the side still, you'd have filters across the top, but then you literally had a text list of all of the courses that were available to a user. We've redesigned it, so now you have a much more snazzy ability to have different tiles showing, so each of these tiles represents a course or a program or a certification. You can have things that are marked as like featured courses that you want people to see. They can be categorized. You can have additional information like course descriptions and enroll option that pops up when the person hovers or goes right over top of it. You can still search for things, and you can still decide what filters you want to have available. But part of what you get to do with the catalog, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit, is you get to decide what these tiles are going to include. So it's not like you have to build each tile individually. This is still pulling from the course or the program or the certification setting. So for each of those, you can have an image. So this is the image that's tied to each of these things within the course settings. And so it will display either the custom image for this individual course, or you can actually have sort of one standard image that shows up for all courses or for all programs or all certifications. So you get to come through, it's automatically pulling the course name. In this case, I'm showing the language, the category of course, and the type of activities. but you get to decide what pieces are going to show up in those tiles. That's all up to you. And the tiles will look the same, whether it's a course, a program, or a certification, so that you have a consistent look and feel across all of those learning items that are going to be displayed. I can see that there's questions popping up. I will come back to those questions. Another big piece that's come up is, actually, go back and talk about templates for a second. With those templates, you are going to decide what shows up in them in terms of the course, program, and certification settings or details. There we go. The next big piece is the content marketplace. So obviously you have the ability to build your own courses, upload your SCORMs from other systems, or, if you're developing them in-house, if you have your own custom content, that's awesome. If you have content you're bringing in from other places, you have the ability to upload that as well. And what we've done is we've built the content marketplace, which is an integrated catalog of courses that you can pull into your sites. So this is something where we work with a company called Go1. There's also a company called Open Sesame, and they are both, essentially they have content repositories. Go1 in particular pulls from lots of different providers like Udemy and others to host something like or provide 177,000 courses as of this screenshot, but they're always adding new content as people make requests or need things. So what you can do is you set up an account with Go1, and in a second I'm going to give you details about that. But you go into Go1, look at the content that you want, and then you're able to just come in and sort of shop for courses. So this is something that a partner company would be able to do to work with you on. So you can go in and say, okay, here are the courses that I want to pull into my site or pull into a subscriber site and make available to my learners. So it's just another way to get content into a site very easily. This is integrated so that you literally can kind of go and shop around in this content marketplace, pick the things you want, and pull them into your course without having to download files, upload files, and all that. It's all integrated content that you're able to just transfer directly into your Totara Learn site. There's a ton of courses out there. It's all tagged. You're able to see, get things based on subscriptions, or there's some free content. You can go and grab those pieces of content to add to your sites. If that's something you're interested in, if you're a Totara customer, which I think most of the people here are, you're going to want to talk to your partner company about that Go1 integration for your site, because it is a third-party content provider, and they're able to help us out by making that integration, making that connection. If you are a partner company, you can go to totara@go1.com to get more information, or go straight to their website to learn more about the integration. So just some stuff for you if you're looking to get content into your site. There's a lot of courses like health and safety and things like that, that it's kind of the same training wherever you go. And so it's a nice way to be able to just get some prefab content, and then be able to really focus on your custom content that's in your niche. A couple of useful resources. And then we're going to pop out and kind of look at the software itself in a live site, and also look at questions folks are asking. Go to totara.help. The documentation is available. So if you come here, you'll click on the Totara Learn logo, and then you'll see this Totara Learn version 12 documentation. When you get into the docs, one of the things that's really helpful, and actually I'm going to pop out and just show it to you. When you go in, you're just going to click on this Totara Learn logo and get to your Totara Learn 12 documentation. And one of the biggest pieces is, if you are upgrading, you can take a look at instructions for that. But for both subscribers and partners, take a look at what's new. This what's new documentation essentially is a list of things that I talked about today, because this is where I pulled my original list from. It's got a quick video walking through the improvements. So if you need to kind of just give someone a quick overview of the things that have changed to see, if and when they're interested in upgrading, you can do that. It talks through each of the new improvements, and you can see that there's honestly a ton more stuff that we won't get into today because there's just a lot of information. So we focused on the highlights for today. But you can go through, read through all of the things that have changed, and take a look at the things that are important to you and your installation. The other big piece is coming to the Totara.community site, which I'm just going to log into so you can take a look at that too. Totara.community is the place to come and chat about the software, ask your questions. do some Q&A. You'll be able to ask questions of partner companies as well as other subscribers and Totara staff, so you can get like best practices and things like that. When you come here, one thing you can get to though is in the Totara community course, there's a release notes option. And the release notes are going to be important for you to go and read through, and you can see literally every nitty-gritty detail of features that have changed. So if there's a feature that you use and you're curious, if there's been any changes made to it, come here and search, and that'll be the way to find out. So those are your two options, Totara.community and Totara.help. You can also do help.totaralearn.com, both get you to the same site. See what else is in my slides that I want to talk through. There is also a version comparison guide. So when it comes to deciding whether you want to upgrade to 12 now or if you want to wait a little bit, there's this version comparison guide within the help that will allow you to see, and I actually took a screenshot before the 12 column was added, but you can compare across all of the different Totara releases what features are available in them. So for example, if you know you want the course completion editor, you can see that it came out in version 10 and you can't get it before that. You'll be able to see that for version 12 as well when you go to the site. Talked about release notes. I highly recommend as well, if you do go and decide to take a look at the release notes, hit the little subscribe to this forum link that allows you to automatically receive these via email, so that when we do release a new version or security patches or anything like that, you can come and just get an email and not have to go check for it. I'm going to pop out of there. I'm going to open up the Q&A and see what questions have come up. So here's a great question. How do we know if we are eligible for the upgrade? That's a good question. So typically, and I'll talk about non-typical cases here in a second, typically sites are run, hosted, and supported by Totara partner companies. You'll need to go back to your Totara partner company and talk to them about what an upgrade would look like for you. The reason for that is partner companies have often done customizations. They may have done integrations for you with other software like webinar tools or things like that. And so they will have a timeline for when they will be able to migrate you to a new version based on what you've got installed, what customizations they've made, etc. So that's for hosted sites. For folks that are not hosted by a partner company, if you're self-hosted, the code is available to you. You can upgrade whenever you're ready. That's if you are a current subscriber, the code is always available to you. And then if you are a Totara Cloud client, we'll be reaching out to you directly to talk about what that upgrade process will look like and when we would work on a time with you of when you would want to do it. So kind of lots of different answers for different audiences, so hopefully that all made sense. If not, please feel free to drop me an email. I'm just going to pop my slide up there so you can see my email address. Leslie.holden@totaralearning.com. Feel free to reach out. There's a question, is there a WooCommerce plugin in Totara, or can it be bridged from WordPress as we are doing with our Moodle site? That's a good question. So the way that third-party plugins work for Totara is that often the ones for Moodle still work for Totara because a lot of the core code base that it depends on is still the same. But the official answer is you'll need to have a Totara partner company that you work with, grab the code, test the integration to see if it works. They'll need to go through a QA process with it to make sure that it works properly with Totara. If it doesn't, there may be modifications they need to make to it in order to make it work. And that's going to be true for any third-party plugin. Okie doke. Okay, so I'm going to pop up in the chat now and see. We have about 6 minutes left and see what other questions came up. I'm going to pop my PowerPoint out of the way so that my chat will come up. Okay, and I see that there are a couple of hands raised. If your hand is raised, if you have a question, please feel free to type it in to the chat or the Q&A panel, and that way we can take a look at it. There's another question. Can you run teacher/student live video sessions with scheduling in Totara? So there is not, there's a couple pieces to that answer. There is not out-of-the-box integration for live video with Totara. So you would need another tool like Zoom or something like that to do live video sessions. So that would require custom integration by a partner company. That is, yeah, so like Big Blue Button for sure. So it's one of the, it's kind of a similar answer to before, where Big Blue Button works for Moodle. It may also work for Totara out of the box, but it would require testing to make sure, and that's something that the partner companies handle, because then if they need to do the custom code work and things like that to support it. There is the ability to do scheduling in Totara. So using the seminar tool, you can schedule sessions, take attendance, etc., but it's not tied into that video piece directly. Okay. Alrighty, other questions that people have, go ahead and pop them up. I'm going to stop sharing for a second because my chat tool is actually not popping up. So I'm going to pop out of sharing so that I can see the chat. Yeah, thank you everyone who introduced yourselves. I'm recognizing a lot of names from Totara Academy courses, so that's fantastic. I'm just kind of going through the list real quick. When are the new features to be rolled out to existing Totara users? Will we get a notification from the suppliers that we are due for an upgrade? So what I would recommend is reach out to your Totara partner company. They will be, essentially what's happening with a lot of partner companies right now is they get the new code, they test it, they test their integrations, they test their customizations, and do whatever updates they need to do code-wise to make their stuff work with the new release. That timeline may differ based on partner company, based on subscriber and what integrations you have and things like that. So definitely reach out to your Totara partner and talk to them about when they're looking to make things available. Just going down through, are custom course fields available for inclusion on the tiles? Ooh, that's a very good question. I'll need to look that one up and I'll message you an answer on that. I'll drop you an email back with that because I'll have to double check. And just looking down through, is the community demo site running Totara Learn? No, the demo site is not running 12 yet. It will be, I have to double check and see when we are running those upgrades because we upgrade all of our internal systems. Yeah, so the community site and the demo site are not currently running 12. They are both on 11 still. There is a 12 sandbox. I have to double check. I don't know if we've released it into, how we add the sandbox information into Totara community or academy courses. I don't know if we've posted the links for it yet. So Scott, I can get back to you with information on a sandbox for sure. Okay. Cool. Ready? Follow up again. Make sure you reach out to your Totara partner company if you have questions about when and how to get the upgrade. A lot of folks don't jump into it immediately because they do have some work to do on their side of documentation and updating their training materials and stuff like that. So our releases come out and then there's sort of like a little bit of a delay before it goes out to clients typically. That's very normal, and that's what a lot of companies do just so that they can make sure that the release is out for a bit, they get their QA testing and of their own stuff, and make sure that everything's working the way they want it to. So there was another question, where can I know more about the content marketplace and add that to my site? So that's back, let me pop up my slides again real quick. I can show you that information, and then I'll share it in the chat. So you have the ability to reach out to Go1. So you can drop an email, totara@go1.com, to reach out to them directly. If you are a Totara customer and you're interested, talk to your partner company. When your customers are interested, drop an email to totara@go1.com. And you can also go to totara.go1.com to read about the integration. Okay. Another question, will any new certifications be placed on the community and they see version 2.9? Yes, that's a great question. So at this point, we have released version 9 and version 11 certifications as well. The version 11 certifications, I believe, came out just in the last couple of weeks. So you have the ability to come and get certified on version 9 completely and version 11. We are developing the Totara Learn version 12 certifications, so that's an in-progress thing. And keep an eye out for the announcements on that. If you go to totara.community and set up an account, you'll automatically be included on the community update. The community update comes out every week and is just information about like new courses coming out and things like that. So you're only seeing version 2.9 certifications. Okay, so what you want to do in that case, let me get these out of the way. If you go under Academy And then there's version 9 courses and version 11 courses. What you can do is go through, and when you complete these courses, each course is part of an overall certification now, all of the courses that you see here. So if you go under programs, so you should see Academy and then programs. If you don't, drop me an email or drop me a message and we'll take a look at your account and make sure you're in the correct audiences to see it. But you should see Totara Learn version 11, and if you click here, you have the ability to get into that site administrator certification. And honestly, it's just taking you to that same collection of courses. There is a site administrator program, and there is also a performance management program. Because performance management is not always something people use, that's including appraisals, 360-degree feedback, and goals, we decided to separate that out from the standard site administrator certification. So you should see these two additional sets of tiles. So you can go through there, or you can just go straight through the version 9 courses or the version 11 courses and work through those for certification. You'll automatically receive a badge when you've completed all the courses necessary for the certification. No other steps required. Just a couple more questions, because I know we're just a little bit over. Is there any way we can go paperless with Totara 12, particularly with seminar sign-in and attendance marking? Unfortunately, we don't have a way to do it with seminar sign-in and attendance marking. Like, the closest you get is that you can download the sign-in sheet and copy the information into Excel or something like that, but that's all you're going to be able to do at this point. We don't have a way to go fully paperless for it. Yeah. So that's a really good question. I know that one's come up recently as well. So with features like that, go to Totara.community to the Suggest Features forum, and you can put in a request for that, and I'm sure other people will also be interested in that same sort of thing. So that's Totara.community, and then under Totara Learn, go Suggest Features. I'm just looking to see if there are other questions that we need to cover before the end of this session. Looks like we got them. If anything else comes up question-wise, please feel free to reach out. You're welcome to drop me an email, reach out to your partner company, reach out to us on the Totara.community site. That way you've got a whole collection of us across UK, the Americas, and New Zealand who can potentially answer your questions. Thank you all for your time and attention. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll hope to see you on the Totara community soon.